Hello and welcome again to Charles Kelly Money Tips, bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate and enjoy more money. For those of you who don't know me, I broadcast here on Facebook Live, and I also have a podcast called Money Tips, which goes out on iTunes and Stitcher and is also available on my website, which is moneytipsdaily.com. Now, for those who might not be aware, I'm the author of the book Money, Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness, which is on Amazon. And in there I go through money mindset things about how to, think about money, how to handle money, how to save money, how to invest money and make the most of your money and be happy with your money. And my personal background is that I wasn't born into money by any means, but I've made money by working hard, by investing in property and doing other types of investments. And but also I've had a business. I've run a business with many staff before, and I've even been a counsellor, where not a counsellor like when you go for counselling, but a counsellor as in an elected counsellor, and was even deputy mayor for a term or mayor, not deputy mayor and mayor in my local area. So I've had quite a wide range of experience, and over the years I've known many people with money, many people who haven't got money, and you think that there's a difference there in the way these people are going about their lives. And in terms of property, I've always found it's been a good investment for me. And yeah, you don't always make money every time, but over the long term, and this is the key, the long term, it has made money for me. And that's why I'm still looking at property, but looking at also ways of investing without necessarily using your own money. And if you're interested in that, then do contact me. Now, today in London, we had the Queen's speech. There was a lot of... What happens with the Queen's speech in Parliament is that it's supposed to be every year, but they haven't had one for 2 years now. And in that Queen's speech, the Queen lays out what the government will be doing in the next term of Parliament. And they say, right, in my government, we'll do this, we'll do that, and so on. And then that is the legislation that is then hopefully enacted and brought forward in that year. So they're planning to give more money to the NHS, do this and do that. I don't know how much of this will actually get through, because obviously the government hasn't got a majority at the moment, and we've got Brexit looming, and there's probably going to be another general election soon. So if there's a general election, anything could happen. It could be a hung parliament, it could be a coalition government. If it's the same government, they'll probably continue with that Queen's speech and those plans, but we don't know what's going to happen at the moment. And obviously we've still got Brexit hanging over us, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, was the Brexit effect on property. So if you're an investor, should you wait for Brexit to happen, or should you hold back and just not do anything until Brexit happens, because you're worried that after Brexit prices could fall, the pound could drop again, or should you just carry on and invest? Now, a lot of investors have been kind of holding back. There's been some properties been on the market for quite a while, and perhaps people are not so keen to rush in and buy. Although first-time buyers and other residential buyers have, in many cases, have just decided, well, they've got to do something. They can't wait forever to move. Brexit's been going on for about 3 years now, and there's no doubt it did slow the market down, but it can't go on like that forever. So sometimes people need to move house or sell and buy, or buy their first house. So they have been doing that, and lots of people have been buying houses. Lots of new houses have been built. Record numbers of new houses were built in the last year. I think 170,000 or somewhere around new houses built. A lot of those would be sold with Help to Buy schemes. So not everybody's holding back, but there are a lot of investors who are thinking, what should I do? And after Brexit, there could be a correction. Prices of property, for the last 1,000 years have been going up, right? But it doesn't go up in a straight line. It might go up and jump up suddenly, then go down a little bit, then go up again, or there might be flatlining for a few years. And also, it depends on what part of the country you're in. Prices at the moment are barely moving But in some parts of the country, like Wales, they're going up by 4 or 5%. In some parts of the country, like the northeast, they've been going down. London, they've been going down. However, in the long term, they generally go up over the years. I mean, if you think about, you talk to your parents or your grandparents, think what they paid for a house in the 1970s. They probably paid £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 for a house, which is now worth £250,000. So, you've got to look at the long term with property. This is certainly not a time for thinking that you can go in and buy a property and flip it. Go in and do it up and quickly flip it. Maybe you can, but you've got to be really sure of getting a really good deal to be able to do that. So just be careful of that. But yeah, there could be a correction because prices have been going up steadily for a number of years. Economically, there could be a correction, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to crash for years and years and years. So, if you're worried about that, then wait. But on the other hand, if it's a long-term investment you're looking for, and you're buying to let, then if you get the right deal now, you get a good price for it, and you've got tenants in there, and it's got a good yield, it's giving you a good return on your money, then eventually that property may go down, but eventually it will go up in price. And in any case, you're getting income from the asset. And many people invest like that. They invest in parts of the country which give them a good yield, but the asset value is not necessarily shooting up like it is in or has been in London. In London, sometimes you could buy a property this year and it's going to go up 20% next year. Well, that's not happening at the moment. But some people are investing for income purposes where they're putting their money into a property, they're getting it at a good rate, they're maybe getting a 8, 9, 10% yield on their money, and they're happy to sit on that for years because they're getting a very good income for their money compared to being in the bank where they might be getting 1/4 or 0.5%. So think about things in the long term when you're looking at property, and remember that even if free movement, this was announced in the Queen's speech that free movement would end when we come out of Brexit. Even if that ends, the property market was never dependent just on immigration. It was also dependent on the local market, the fact that people are living longer, couples split up and they often need 2 units instead of 1. More people have been born than dying, so the population is increasing anyway. And, generally things have become more prosperous. So people will always need somewhere to live, and they're not building enough houses. They keep saying they need to build 250 or 200,000 houses every year. That's barely happening. And, a few years ago they were saying they'd need 7 new cities, but that's kind of been shelved now. Now they're building some more smaller garden villages, garden towns, that sort of thing, smaller places. But really what they need to solve the housing crisis is probably another 5 or 6 Milton Keynes type cities in the southeast of England, and that would solve the problem. But that's not going to happen. Councils are not building enough council houses. That we just don't see that happening in my area. They barely built a handful of houses in the last year. There are plans to build more in the future, but that's not going to happen for quite a while. And that in terms of council housing and real social housing. Some boroughs are building social housing. The councils and local authorities can borrow money at extremely low rates, but those rates have just been put up. They've nearly doubled. Okay, they're still less than 2%, but it's quite a big difference in the budget. If they were budgeting to build houses and suddenly the borrowing rate goes up, that can make quite a big difference. But anyway, that's their problem. I still think they could build more social housing. So until then, I think there will still be a demand. Maybe not a racing demand like, if you've got a massive immigration coming in and suddenly everyone needs houses quickly and you can get places let very easily, any type of places. Maybe it's going to be a little bit harder. But I still think in the long term that there is still a good demand for property, provided you follow the rules, you buy right, and you get yourself educated. And this is the key. This is where the amateur landlord or sometimes the landlord who becomes an accidental landlord through inheritance can often get into problems, because they just don't know what they're doing. Like, it's like going out and saying, well, I'll invest in the stock market. Well, let's see what share to buy. I'll buy that and just, try and sell it next year. You couldn't do that. You need some education. So if you think you'd like to become a property investor, or you think you'd like to dabble in it, then get some education. Contact me at charles@charleskelly.net, or contact me on Facebook Messenger, or on the Facebook group. And some of the courses we can get you on our free taster courses, where you can get quite a good idea of what you need to do without even spending any money. It just requires a bit of your time. So I've got some free taster courses coming up the end of this month and November. So let me know, and we'll try and get you on those courses so that you can learn about this properly, and then you can make money in property. People are making money in property all the time. I've known people who've only just started 2 or 3 years ago, and they're making loads and loads of money, and often without even using their own money. There's dozens of ways you can utilize no money down property investment secrets to your advantage, so that you can make money using other people's money, or using other strategies which don't even involve you putting down any money. Believe me, there are many strategies out there where you can get rich as a property investor, not overnight, but in time. You can build a sizable fortune. You can build a good nest egg for yourself. But it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it is a get rich long scheme. And you've got to look at this, because many people are not in pension schemes. They've got no adequate prevention for pension. So this is one way of providing for your pension. But get educated and do it right. So thanks very much for listening. And I hope that this has been interesting. And I want you to contact me, charles@charleskelly.net, or on the Facebook Messenger group if you're interested in some of these free taster courses on investing in property. Thanks very much, and bye for now. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook Live. Hello to everyone there on Facebook Live, and thanks for listening to my podcast. Bye for now.